6:03, our meeting to order. Will you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We've got several minutes to approve. The first one is the work session minutes from our March 27th meeting. Motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approved. And then the non-public March 27th meeting. Motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And finally, the regular meeting of March 27th.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The select board will meet on the following dates. We'll have a regular meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday, the 24th, and May 8th. This is going to be a work review session prior to the regular meeting. It's going to start at 5 p.m. All of the meetings will be at the town hall unless otherwise posted. Citizens wishing to be listed on the select board's agenda should notify the town hall before 12 p.m. the Friday before the scheduled meeting. And we've got a little time to kill. Actually, let's go to an appointment. We have a letter of intent for reappointment from Chris Buckley to the Conservation Commission. And I'll just read his request. Dear Select Board members, I wanted to take this opportunity to inform you of my intention to remain on the Plymouth Conservation Commission for another term after my current term ends later this month. I am currently serving as the PCC's representative to the Planning Board and would like to continue in that capacity as well as continue with the projects I am currently involved with on the PCC. If you need any additional information, please feel free to contact me via phone, mail, or email. Thank you for your consideration. Chris Buckley.
I make a motion that we reappoint Chris.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Chris, you're reappointed. Oh, crap. Yeah, let's sign that one too.
It's nicer paper.
It is.
Do we have time for Joe?
Well, maybe. Why don't you give that to Kathy? I don't know. Joe? Do you think you can do your POs in 7 minutes? All right. Hey, Joe. We have several POs that you submitted.
I do.
You want to describe what they are?
Yep. You got it in order, right?
Well, asphalt crushing is the first
Okay,
one.
so we'll start with that one, asphalt crushing. So I've got a pile of stuff to crush, and so every 2 or 3 years, however long it takes to get that pile, and then we get a number through 2 or 3 different bids, and whoever's the lowest bid, we try to work, take that number, and we crush at least 5,000 to 6,000 yards.
Very good.
We're gonna crush all 6,000 yards this year.
We're at a point that we need to have this done.
Yep, I need gravel on the roads, and so they're gonna do it the end of April, and I'm gonna be getting my grader put back together tomorrow, and ready to go.
Any questions, or entertain a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the crushing.
Second?
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And your second one is for Chadwick Burroughs, Inc.
Yep.
Residential.
So I have a sidewalk tractor that decided to stop, not move anymore. So, we actually had to get a record and pull it down the shop. And, took it down to Chadwick and have them, took it apart to see what the failure was. And so it needs a new shaft, and then they recommend every 6,000 hours to change the timing belt, which will save from ruining the motor if it spins a belt. So we're gonna take care of both at the same time. So that's where that money is going, to get my tractor back together and put a new timing belt.
Think we'll get any more snowstorms, or?
No, we're done.
All right. Any questions, or? Entertain a motion?
Move to approve the purchase order for the maintenance on the tractor.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. 1, 2 down. And the last one you have is for Reese Construction, labor and equipment to take down existing sand and shelter.
Right, so we're faced with moving our sand shed, and so Reese is going to dismantle our old one, and we're going to work jointly, the highway, with them to move all the blocks and re-subgrade and pave and do the prep work, and then they're gonna reassemble it on the other end of the lot.
Is there any time limit there, or just,
No, we're gonna coordinate it as soon as, we actually leveled all the buildings, so they're gone, the salt shed and the others, so,
oh, yeah?
now we're just gonna get it prepped, and I gotta find the money to pave it, and then, then we're gonna get started. So, there's a time limit, it needs to get done before the end of June. But we're gonna try to do it beforehand, because we're gonna be in our busy part of the season by June.
Okay.
Make a motion that we approve the takedown and rebuilt the salt shed by Reese Construction.
Second?
All those in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. I understand that Reese is really lowballing this just for the fact he's kind of doing the town a favor, so I really appreciate that. But oh, you got another one, don't you? And the last, you have a PO for replacement cover for the Calhoun superstructure.
Right, so when we take that down, the old cover, it is intact, but it's very faded and worn, and it has issues. We've got it wire tied and put together in certain places, and so when you go to put it back up, when you go to cinch it up, we're afraid that it's gonna blow apart. And so this comes with all brand new straps and stuff to cinch it down, and all the new hardware, because the old straps were, with the sand in the shed, it covers up the straps are on the side. Everything is all rusted, so it comes all complete, so it'll go back it'll go back on a lot easier.
Okay. Is there a chance you may not need this, or is it just,
No, we will need it, and
okay.
Make a motion that we approve the expenditure for the replacement cover for the salt shed.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Say
Aye.
Aye.
that's it.
That's it done.
How'd I do?
Pretty great.
All
You
right,
got everything. Thanks, Joe.
thank you, gentlemen.
Joe.
Kind of raced through that.
You did good. We got 30 seconds to spare.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's 6:15. I'm going to open the public hearing for, actually, I got to read this, right? The Plymouth Selectboard welcomes all present for this, the first of two public hearings on the proposed Town of Plymouth pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers ordinance. I wish to explain what it is that we intend to accomplish by the end of the second public hearing, scheduled for April 24th at 6:15 PM. The purpose is to better regulate the transference of property by pawnbrokers and secondhand dealers without waiting to have an waiting an appropriate amount of time, especially in the case of stolen property. And Chief LaFave is here to explain the importance of adopting such an ordinance. Chief, go on.
I seem to have found the recipe to have your meeting well attended. That's for sure.
True.
I'm hoping that, I know there's a lot of misconception out there about this ordinance and the intent of this ordinance. Hopefully I can clear that all up for you tonight. But basically, I'm tasked with finding out new ways to protect the town, protect the business owners and whatnot. And this is one thing that we came up with. And it does truly protect both business owners and the people in the community. And I'll tell you what has happened, especially with the uptick in the opioid crisis and everything else like that. We're having a lot of home burglaries and whatnot, and these items specifically mentioned in this ordinance are items that get pawned or sold very easily. So I'm trying to get a handle on that. We've had several incidents in town where items have gotten stolen either from Plymouth or from an outside community and pawned off in our community, and come to find out we're days behind that person because there's nothing regulating how long somebody has to hold on to it, whether they have to identify the person who brings it in. And no photos are taken, so by the time we figure out what happened, we show up to that specific shop and the item's already gone, and we can't recover property for the victims. So, and what the intent of this ordinance is to do is, if we can retain it, identify the people who are trying to sell it, photograph it, document it, and we show up and you still have it, now we can get restitution for you for whatever money that you have into it, get the victim's property back to them, and get a conviction on the actual theft. And hopefully, you know, this is just one layer of the opioid crisis, another layer of protection. That's all it is.
Thank you, Chief. Is that
I
it?
know people have questions. I mean, it's, you know, it's well-written. It's been vetted by the town's attorney. This is, for me, 2 years in the making. I've gotten some verbiage from Bristol. They have a town ordinance. Tilton has a town ordinance. Londonderry and all the big cities have town ordinances. And this is some language that I have taken from all of those and put it into what I believe to be the best thing to fit the town of Plymouth.
Very good. All right, so,
I have a question.
Absolutely.
I mean, when you're deciding what's best for the, say, the merchants in town.
excuse me.
I
Yeah, hi.
You want to come up here?
Well,
can just,
well, okay, well, first of all, you know, let me just open up to general, you know, comments. I think there's probably everyone here that would like to make comments. I don't think we'll have to limit it for,
Just need them to identify.
you do identify yourself, the town
Okay,
you're
I'm
from, and
Wilson. I own Wilson Jewelers. And,
town of Plymouth.
you know, when you say that this is something that will benefit the people of the town, like the merchants, I mean, did you consult with any of us in determining what to do?
I did consult with some of the merchants, yes, I did, yeah. But as far as that goes. I mean, that's what this forum's to get your input.
Can you point out anyone or tell
I
me?
don't know of anybody in this room, no. Sorry. And again, this is 2 years. I apologize. It's been a long time. I've had to wait a long time to be able to bring this to everybody, but that's what this forum is to also get your feedback.
All
and
right,
your
well,
input on it.
I'm gonna assume most of the people here are here about that, about this ordinance.
And I encourage questions and input,
So
absolutely.
my first thing would be, who here is in favor of the ordinance being passed?
Well, yeah, it's, yeah.
Well,
And-
just by show of hands,
No,
just interesting.
Well, that's not the point, because under RSA 398, the select board can produce, these rules regarding.
what?
Can produce these rules.
And produce the rules?
As the
Well,
chief-
it's to protect the community, so I would like to know how many people here feel they'll be protected by these rules.
I think what we asked essentially the chief to come forward with, this ordinance, and this is the opportunity for you to comment on the
I don't think it's
appropriateness.
fair.
Okay,
So that's a
but
comment right off the bat. It's not fair.
I think if you target specific, language in the ordinance that,
Okay, the fact that you would
Impacts
have
you.
to hold merchandise for 30 days is a prolonged period of time.
isn't that like, that's fine. I appreciate that,
You
and
were going to say something, you could say what you were going to say.
I'm thinking it's generally a standard practice to
I don't
hold.
think that's true. They vary from 7
No.
days to 30 days.
No, we don't store things for 30 days. If I buy a computer, James Store, on-site computer services, if I buy a computer from a customer, and I have to pay market value for that computer, 30 days from now, that computer's lost value. I have to buy a security system to record these people. I have to put my customers on camera. I'm required, under this ordinance, to pay $100 a year for the license. I'm required to pay for a background check. I'm required to allow the Plymouth Police Department to come into my facility and inspect it. I don't know what towns allow all these things. I don't know what problem we're addressing. This to me seems like we're chasing something that's not there. To put this onto a small business owner. I've been working since 8 o'clock this morning. I'm working right now. When I leave here, I'm going to be working for 2 hours. I have my daughter helping me. But this is going to put a lot of undue stress and burden on my business. And I think what we should do is we should table this, and I think we should study it, because we have not been talked to. Nobody has come down to speak to us.
There are a
I mean,
lot of
that's why we
merchants
have-
here.
that's
There
why
are
we
a
have
lot
the
of
second meeting.
merchants
I believe
here,
he already
and none
got a
of
chance
us
to
have been
speak.
talked to.
And I can't rebut anything that anybody's saying that way.
Yeah,
I'm just
please-
saying there's a lot of merchants here, and none of us have
Excuse
been
me, sir,
talked
but
to.
Chief LaFave is going to rebut what was just discussed, so.
Well, first of all, it's not a $100 fee, it's a $50 fee annually. So that's incorrect, and we're not asking to come into your shop and inspect your shop. We're looking at the records of the transactions, that's the only thing we're looking at.
That's not what it says in the ordinance, the proposed ordinance, I'm sorry. If you refer to, what's the second to last page? The licensed premises and all transaction records and property contained therein may be inspected at any time by a duly authorized police officer. And that's part,
And again, that's why we also have 2 hearings on this. If it-
Right.
This isn't set in stone right this second. If there are
that's
changes
why I'm bringing this up.
that we need to make, then that's why you guys have this up too. We can make
Right.
changes.
And
That's
that-
not a problem. Like I said, some of this is an attorney, some of this is me, so
I understand that.
bear
I'm
with
not-
me. I'm not
burning you at the stake here,
No,
Chief.
no, by any means. I don't believe that.
But I've got this whole ordinance, proposed ordinance sitting here. I could go on for 2 hours about why this is unjust. I could go on all night long. This is just an informational meeting from what I understand. But I have a lot of concerns here, and I share those concerns with these business owners here. I've been doing business in this town for over 15 years. I can't believe that we are going to say that we're going to photograph our people that come in and sell us stuff, that we have to have a camera system. I mean, that's $1,000 alone right there.
Right.
Arguably, I think you can probably pick up like if you go to BJ's, you can pick up like a $300.
But I have to record I have to keep the records
Yeah.
of the video records for 30 days, which means I have to have a large hard drive in there, somebody has to pay somebody like me to come in and put that in. No, we can't do that. That's asking so much out of us.
Well, I guess the intent of this public hearing is to like at least
Right.
get the feedback, and for the fact that, you know, maybe, you know, that we can compromise on some things, but there may be like a standard that other towns or cities do, you know, photo of the person doing the transaction and, you know, keep records for, you know, hold an object for 30 days before it can be sold. I think some of these things are probably common practice, not in Plymouth, but you know, I'm thinking in other jurisdictions.
I think that's why it's appropriate to study it, sir. That's why I think we should have a study.
Bristol does hold theirs for 30 days. That's in their ordinance.
Okay.
We are being impacted. We need to have a study. That's what we're asking. We want to look at this, at least myself, I want this gone through with a fine-tooth comb and talking to the people who are affected over a long-term basis, not over 2 meetings that I didn't even know about until somebody came down and told me and said, you've got to see this. I mean, we have a Main Street community here with stores closed.
Right.
There's businesses that are not running here, and this is, I'm not gonna sell stuff. I'm not gonna abide by this. I can't, I don't have time in my life to do this.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm very
But,
upset
no,
about
this
this.
thing, on the flip side, though, you know, you'll have like someone that's just wants some quick cash, know that they can't go down to Bristol because all their transactions are going to be recorded, so they go to some place in Plymouth because they know that nothing's being collected that might identify them and the products that they're selling.
Which is appropriate why we should study this more. We should have we should have a commission to study this so we can see the impact of the local community. That's what I believe.
Okay. Shall we hear from somebody else? I see a hand raised.
Hi, my name's Dylan. I own a small eBay business. I had a couple of specific points. I think that it's the amount of documentation required by the business owners is a little bit excessive. And
sorry, I didn't hear
think
that.
Sorry?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, I'm sorry. The documentation required by all the small business owners, I think that's excessive, and I think we can tackle this from a different angle. The idea that came to my mind was instead of recording all items bought from people on the street and whatnot, maybe a database of whenever an item is reported stolen, the police takes that, and as soon as that item is reported stolen, something is sent out to all the registered secondhand dealers in town, so instantly they'll know, and they can post a picture up on their bulletin board, look out for this item, this was stolen. And then we can keep a database categorized, and instead of, for example, 6 months go by after a reported theft, the stolen item is brought to Wilson Jewelers. Which one is easier, looking through an index of thousands and thousands of items that have been bought, or looking through an index of anything that was just stolen? So that's my thought on that. And I have one more thought on maybe the whole documentation process of when somebody brings you an item, they want to sell it to you, and you have to take, according to the ordinance, a full, accurate, detailed description of the item, as well as notation of the date and time, and the full name, address, date of birth, and social security number of that person. It seems a little much. Maybe that would be more applicable in the case of items over $500 in value, for example, so that not every single little item coming in has to be documented to that extent. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
And it's not for every item, so we're clear on this. Okay, it specifically does not include clothing, books, furniture. It does not include that. That does not apply to this ordinance.
Okay. And just to address your comments, that would be good if like you can get like an immediate, inventory of what's actually been stolen. If someone like did a job down in Concord or something, know that Plymouth doesn't have a 30-day hold. They just come up here and they get rid of it really quickly before it would even hit like a shared database of stolen items. I'm just kind of like thinking like worst case, but and that woman, had a question and.
I am Lori Vashon. I own Off the Hanger. I'm very concerned about some of the general items that are included in this, antiques. And, if you were at Boomerang Used Furniture, who's to decide what's an antique and what's a piece of furniture? Where is the difference between that lie? And the extra storage capacity of that would be ridiculous. We would have to rent a whole nother storage unit, dishware, people bring in used dishes. I believe dishware and household goods and appliances are on this. We will overwhelm the police department with the amount of pictures of things that we transact on a regular basis. Most of us as business owners are good business owners. We do take general information, but someone is not going to give me their social security number. How many, it's just, that's not common practice to do. It's actually, they're opening themselves up, and then we have to store that, and then are we liable for having additional information about an individual that we really shouldn't have in our hands either. And I think that this is overwhelming for us as a community, and you're putting the burden on your local merchants who, we're pretty savvy when someone comes in. We get stolen from more than anyone, just on a regular daily basis, as you know, we get calls. So we're probably the ones being stolen from more than anyone, and we understand that. And if we have suspicion or whatever, I would like you to trust your local merchants to, use our own, resources and networking. We've called the police several times. We think we have something funny going on here, and give you that information. I just think that this is taking it way too far and asking us to set up security systems when we are a small mom and pop business. We can't afford it. We just, it will have a huge detriment to our businesses.
And again, like I said, some of this is not set in stone. Any of this can change if we're getting input, obviously, from people. Some things can be omitted, some things can be added to, like the part where it says shall not include. We can add stuff there. That's fine. That's absolutely fine. I'm not hung up. The bigger items are the big things that I'm worried about are the commodity metals, the coins, the jewelry, the computer equipment, the stereo equipment, things that are smaller, can move easy, that have high value. Those are the items that we are truly worried about. If there are things in here where people say, maybe that's, it's kind of ridiculous because we'll run into storage problems or whatever, something like that, then we can obviously look at omitting some of those things.
Could you one more time repeat what you were concerned about, metals, coins?
Yeah, under like the commodity metals, everything into that section on the first page there, plus the jewelry, the electronic equipment. I can say electronic equipment because it's like, any electronic, cell phones, TVs, stereo systems,
Okay.
Things of that nature. Computers, unfortunately. Because I don't, these are the items that are truly getting stolen. And just to your point, saying, you can't, these people and everything else like that, but this opioid crisis is affecting everybody and good people. And we're even getting to the point where there are, family members of very good families in town who are taking their own stuff and bringing it to shops, and people just, you just don't know. I'm not saying that anybody here is doing this on purpose. Nowadays you just can't tell who's an addict, who's selling stuff for drugs. You can't tell anymore. You just can't tell because it's affecting everybody. Drugs do not discriminate against anybody.
We can tell. We talk to people every day.
Yeah.
When was the last time you came to my business and said, James, we got a computer that's stolen? You don't. And this is how we solve it? I mean, you are welcome to call me anytime and say, James, I've got computers that are stolen. What do you got? Awesome. We have a relationship. I wouldn't hang up on you.
I'm not saying
I've never spoken to you, though. And now we have a proposed ordinance. We've never worked together.
Talked before, James. We've talked before.
Not about this.
Not about this. Nope. I'll give you that.
Well, you've never come down and approached me.
Give another person with a comment.
Hi, Callie Jones. I work for a business that we go into customers' homes when they're downsizing or moving from the area. This could be a very serious problem because these people are trusting us to come into their home, and you're asking us to get information from them that shouldn't be put out there. And this is our business. 90% of our business is going into a customer's home to buy our merchandise. And I'm not saying we don't get electronics, but you need to think about this very seriously. Not all businesses are run the same. We all have our own way of doing it. So you need to consider that also.
If you're talking like either an estate sales or estate auction, that's exempt from this. That's
No,
not.
when customers are leaving the area, they're downsizing, we go into their home. If they don't want to take their merchandise or their contents with them, we buy it from them. So that means we have to take pictures of things. We're asking them for personal information. Do you know what that's going to do to our business? People are going to stop calling us, and we're not going to have any merchandise. I just am putting that out there, showing you that each business is a little bit different.
And
Have you been to our store and talked to the owner?
I have not, nope.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Wolfson?
You know, I agree with what a couple people have said, that it seems premature. You know, the chief has just said that there seems to be a lot of changes that could be made. I think it would be a lot smarter to start from scratch and put something together with a group of people that are actually affected by this. It's easy to say we should do this, but, you know, no offense, but the chief is not running a business, you know, and so these things are quite onerous. It's a heck of a burden. You know, I, for one, have been here 31 years and have lots of repeat customers. So think how they will feel if I've always done business a certain way, and now they come in and it's totally different. So, I mean, I understand there's stolen things, but I know, for one, I haven't seen a policeman in my store looking for stolen merchandise for a year or two. I mean, it's 5 years or 10 years later than when gold was soaring high. You know, the problem seems to be much less, not more. If it was more, I'd be hearing from the police. And I do occasionally hear from them. Have I seen a certain person? I mean, you know, all of us will always work with the police. You know, people understand that. But you also have, who's going to look out for the merchant? That's all I'm saying. This is a really burdensome thing. And even though other towns have ordinances like this, it's mostly cities. You know, if you talk Manchester, there's gangs, there's organized crime. We're not in a situation like this. And this is as harsh or more harsh than any of those places. And I mean, no offense again, but you know, the chief is not in the business of writing ordinances. It's law. So where does he think that he can put something together that represents the town, this town? We're a small town, and crime is not out of control. And I understand there's a drug problem, but I have to think that it's a small problem in terms of what we get as merchandise. I know many of the people I get are people I see a few times a year. It just has me worried.
I appreciate that. I think you're selling the chief short to think that he can't do an ordinance, but.
Thank you.
And I think even if he could not, this was like gleaned from several other ordinances as well. And, you know, the chief did mention that Bristol, you know, has an ordinance for, you know, that's very similar to this
Tilton.
document. Tilton. Yeah, it's not like major cities.
Last I knew, Tilton didn't.
They have it right here.
Huh?
They have it right here.
Well, I happen to know that they worked it out with the pawn shop. He had to do some kind of actual recording of things, but he's not subject to anything like this. You know, right now we have nothing in place. So why can't we start with something so less egregious?
Well,
taking people's IDs.
That's what this hearing is for.
Well, I mean, a simple thing is taking people's IDs.
That's the most important part of this whole ordinance, is taking people's ID. Because we need to figure out who stole what. That is the key to this thing.
So, I mean, we've gone from nothing all the way to the most severe cure.
Right.
It is definitely not the most severe cure.
Well, you tell me something that would be more severe than that, saying banning it all together, which you don't have the right to do.
No, we don't have the right to do it, nor would I ask you. And then I told you at the beginning, my intent to this is not to harm the business owners, but to protect the business owners and the people of this community.
I just don't see that. I really don't see that.
I'm sorry you can't see that.
If you look out there, I mean, I know you said you can't just ask the people, but if you ask the people here, and we're all business owners, who thinks it's unfair to a hand, everyone will say it's unfair.
I
It's
appreciate
unfair
that,
based
but
on what the needs of the town are.
or it's, it's unfair, or perception of unfairness, because nothing was regulated prior to this. So, I think it's a step in the right direction. And with any specific comments on any of the items that are in this are much appreciated, because then we can actually address, specifics, I guess, versus just a perception that this is unfair, because, something like this needs to happen, but.
The tracking that's involved, as people have stated before. There's a provision in there that you have to keep the records for 7 years. What's downloaded. That's crazy. Statute of limitations isn't even 7 years on any of these petty crimes.
I hate to say it, but I came from state government. We had to keep everything for like 25 to indefinitely. So,
But,
I think-
we're working with a framework right now where we don't have anything that's making us do certain things. Why can't we try something much less burdensome? Forgetting a holding period, but taking IDs, tracking, being able to track. The police have come to me over the years and wanted to know if a certain person has been in my store and have I written a check to them? And I have. So you give that information, or like that young man was saying, you could have a thing, if something is known to be stolen, then you alert the people in the town that are merchants, and maybe someone's bought it. But this, the feeling is that we're being looked upon as if we're doing something wrong. Can you understand that? Does that make sense to you?
Ms. Wilson, I appreciate that, but are there any other comments that anyone might have? Yes, sir.
Yeah, my name is Dennis Kilpatrick. I own North Country Coins down here in town, and beside me is the previous owner. And between the two of us, we've been in business over 28 years on Main Street with no incidences whatsoever about having things come in or stolen. We've helped the police on several occasions with pictures and checks and so forth to indicate our honesty, as well as our, the feeling that, down the road, we could be the next house broken into. That's my feeling. I want to help the police as much as I can. But this right here, and I'll go over some of the items on it, if this goes through, it'll probably, more than likely, put me out of business. And that's a fact. It's not just out of being upset. The type of business I do, is a majority of it's rare coins, gold, bullion, silver, stuff like that, rare currency. And when you hold any type of bullion, coins, gold or silver for 30 days, if the market drops, I lose money, period. And people that have had gold bullion stolen from them, it all looks the same. There's no way you can say, that's my coin, that's my coin. They've all got dates on them. Some of them are foreign gold, some of them are US and foreign silver that we buy. And we work very diligently to take information from these people that's going to help us if he walks through my door. And to get back with a couple of people that said here, he's never walked in my door either, and I've been in there since '08. So we help the state police, the local police. We've had Guilford and Tilton, and a lot of people call us looking for certain things, and we help them. Say, I'll come down, you can come up, and to go out of our way so we don't have to get into this type of procedures. One of the things in here that really got my attention, if we want to be specific, is a social security number. I think that I would not give my social security number to anybody I didn't know. It's just one of them things you protect because of all the theft with social security numbers and your personal information these days. And that's huge. People are going to come into my store, they're going to see cameras where they never saw them before. I'm going to say, before we do any business, I've got to have this, this, and this. And they're going to turn around and walk out. The reality of it is that we do a very clean business down here, a very honest business. We offer a very good service to this town. And this right here, along with some of the information, some of the regulations, I don't have the computer skills to do what's requested to send it to the police, all the information. I'll get a bag of 5,000 wheat pennies in that I buy at 2 cents a piece. Now I've got to take pictures of 5,000 pennies that are worth $150. And that's not realistic to me. And if I start shutting down what I buy, eventually I won't have enough to pay the bills or to make the business worthwhile.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
No, go ahead.
Do you have a security system in place now in your
Yes.
store? Okay.
Yes, I've got an alarm system, hooked directly to the police.
So,
I don't even know-
a camera security?
No, we don't,
camera.
we chose not to have,
that
because
was
we
my
don't
question.
want people coming in that feel that they're being photographed. And most, 99.9% of people come in our store are legitimate, honest people. Have we had some come in that have offered us stuff? Yeah, and I look at them and say, look, can I see your driver's license before we can get going? Because you can sense it, you've been doing it long enough. And I say, can I see ID? Well, it's out in the car, and they grab their stuff and out the door they go. So what do I can't stop them. It's not my legal right to stop them. But the reality of it is, we sense and do a very good job of screening the people who come in. 92-year-old woman that comes in is selling her wedding band because she needs money for oil. I don't think we should have to ask her social security number. And there's a lot of people that come in our business that do business for investment, for retirement, and so forth. I don't feel we have to ask that type of information to. And that's, and like I said, and the fact is, if this goes through as written, you probably won't see that store open a year from today. And that's what I've got to offer. If you've got any questions to me, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
I got a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Was there anything in here that might be good, that, in your eyes?
I think taking pictures of certain things, once again, a lot of the business I do is gold and silver bullion. I have rare coins. The rare coins have, most of them are in certifications that got numbers on them put out by the certification companies, which are very reputable throughout the country. Taking pictures of them would mean a lot because it's only one of them with that number of rare coins and things like that. But when you get into taking pictures of coins, and I got 5,000 wheat pennies in a bag, I got to take pictures of both sides, and you're not going to be able to tell one from another. I can't, except for the date. So, the reality of it is, to add all this electronics that I'm not competent with, I'd have to hire somebody, and I don't think the store could bear that at this point. We're not a huge business, but we do well. The reality of it is that there's too many things on here beyond what I think we need to help the police force and the town. I think, like this gentleman up here, I couldn't remember his name here, he had said, I think it needs a lot more review, and you got to get the people involved that are running the businesses, because you don't want to see these businesses closing down. I don't want to close down, and if I close down, I'm old enough, I'm not moving to another town. That's the reality of it, so. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
For the record, nor do I want him to close down either.
And that's not a threat, it's just reality.
No, I get it, and I understand, I appreciate your input, that's why we're doing this. And the flip side, and we have met before, and we've even shaken hands before, I've been to his shop before, he does do a good job. However, all those things are after the fact, those items have then gone. That's also the purpose of this, the retention, of the items, so we can recover that stolen item and get it back to its victim. That's the key component. I mean, if people think 30 days is way out of line, then maybe we can factor and shorten it. I'm not opposed to that either. If you want to do less than 30 days, okay, let's look at that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What is your plan to do with all of the pictures you're receiving on a daily basis? Because you will be overwhelmed. You're going to need to hire new staff.
Excellent. No, I will not need to hire a new staff. My original thing is I would like to try and do this, see if we can do it electronically. That way you guys don't have tons of paper. However, if somebody needs paper, we can accommodate that. Not an issue. But if we have like something where you could log on to and go to a Dropbox and you can just drop all your information in there, that way my detectives can open it up at any given time and look through it and see what was sold.
So for businesses that don't even have a computer or internet, we would have to purchase that too as well.
No, like I said, if it's a hardship on
lot.
somebody, we could
You will get
do
so
some
many
paperwork.
pictures, you are going to be overwhelmed.
Yep.
We're going to need more clarification on what is included in, dishware, glassware, jewelry. Off the hanger every day I buy necklaces and rings that I sell for $6 from, that are of any significant value, but you are going to get so many pictures. And we won't have this, you will put us out of business. We don't have the staff, we have one person working at a time.
Again, that's not, my intent to put anybody out of business, and the data in the input is exactly what we're looking for, because as it is now, we get stuff from either Tilton or Bristol or whatever. They'll send out emails, because, you know, all law enforcement's in email groups, send out email, hey, this was just pawned at our shop. Have you guys had any recent burglaries where an item like this was stolen? Here it is with all the information, and we share that with each other. So that's what we're looking for. The data is what we're really looking for.
I'm sure.
Not up to me to call you.
Mr. Wilson.
You know, could you put like a value thing to address her problem, maybe? Things of value that are
Yeah,
over
like I said,
$25.
yeah, we could. The answer is yes.
The difference
So, I mean,
between
that would
an antique and a piece of furniture, it will be hard
And-
to define.
Okay, and we can try and define that. I don't know, but we.
You know.
Yep.
Now, you're talking about working with people, are these things you'll take notes on and try to address some of those
Yeah,
things?
As we go, I'm trying to highlight everything everybody's saying so I can look at it again.
We're taking notes, and
Now, one thing, could I just ask one thing? I do an eBay business, so I don't buy that. I heard that young man says he has an eBay business. So I just want to address whether or not items like that, I don't buy them, and they're stored electronically. I even talked to the chief a little bit about them.
Okay.
But I just would like to make it, you know, clear to me, you know, whether or not that's going to be not included in this ordinance. In other words, if it isn't coins or gold, you know, but it's like toys and just old things, there'll be a good record of it, but it would, I know I would feel much better because that's like 1/3 of my business at this point.
Yeah, and speaking with Mr. Wolfson on the phone, he did call me, you know, earlier
I did.
last week and had a few questions, and we discussed on the phone that, you know, if you're doing eBay, like, you've already complied pretty much with 90% of this because you've already taken a picture of it because you got to
Right.
list it. I mean, all that stuff. It's just getting it to our form and getting it to us.
Which I don't mind that too, but what I'm saying is I'd like to live with this thing without having a license. I find, to me, the part about having to have a license is prohibitive. Because first of all, also, in that actual ordinance, it's saying we have to undergo a background check. And I don't get that either. So it's like saying, are you a criminal?
Yeah, that's pretty standard for every ordinance I have run into actually has that.
Well, I'm saying if my eBay didn't fall under the ordinance, then I wouldn't sign up to have a license.
but you do jewelry business too, so,
No, but I don't have to buy the used jewelry.
okay.
So what I'm saying is I would rather live outside of that, and because I don't want the invasion into my business or into my life, just to be honest.
Okay, and,
I just had a couple of questions or comments. I'm one of the owners of the Boomerang store.
Yep.
There's 15, 16 of us. And a question about, you know, determining the worth of something, whether it's an antique, it's 100 years old, whether it's vintage, and what kind of prices you're gonna put on that. And if you decide, well, if something's over $100, you need a picture of it. Well, I might think it's worth $100, somebody else might think it's only worth $75. So I find that it's gonna be a problem. We usually have one person working the store. You're gonna end up having 2, maybe 3 people working the store if you need to take pictures of every single thing that comes in. And some people bring in 20, 25 things at a time. And we may have 10 people come in a day with that many things. So you're talking 1,000 pictures.
Well, then you have to
But you're
store
talking
it.
the
And then we have to store all this.
yeah, but yours
We have-
is a consignment part, or what, or,
We are consignment,
yeah,
yeah.
so,
But again, property shall not include secondhand furniture, clothing, or books. Isn't that the majority of your stuff?
Dishware, we don't take jewelry. Dishware, knickknacks, antiques, you've got antiques on there, collectibles. I mean, we would be inundating you with pictures. We would have, and we have no storage. Our building has no storage. We use a bathroom for storage.
And we have no cameras.
The only camera we have is just so we can see people while they're in the store. So we'd have to purchase all of that. And I can tell you, all 16 of us are not proficient in using the computer as far as the things that you're gonna be asking us to do. I think it's a problem.
well, I think you just helped, the chief with, additional items that, you know, might not be included in this too, but, you know, Yes.
Hi, I'm Deb Tassoni from Boomerang too. The biggest problem is, now you're saying something about a 30-day hold?
Correct.
We can't do that.
You know, something comes in, is, we put it out on the floor and maybe within 5 minutes it could be sold.
And that's the
You
only
know,
way we can
and
money.
we have no place to, as we've been saying, no place to store
Well,
anything.
you have a kind of unique situation. If it's consignment item, then you have the person that, is directly, I mean, you've got the person, okay, the deal, I guess, is a 30-day, hold period. Might be kind of difficult to adhere to.
There is no 30-day hold period.
No. Sorry, but most of us do take general information when, like, even if someone comes in to off the hanger and they have a bag of clothes, I get their name and their address.
Right.
I'm not getting their social security number. I'm not asking them for a license. I mean, I could ask them for an ID to who they are. And we do, keep a transaction. We are all doing business and we keep business records. So it wouldn't make a difference if you were buying it outright or consigning it. Someone could still steal something and consign it to you, but they are Boomerang keeps records on. But we're taking a picture, security system. I mean, I do think that, as everyone has been saying, that we could sit down and talk about this and, maybe tighten up some of our policies and requiring IDs or whatever, but some of this, I'm hoping that we can compromise on.
Okay. There was a person way in the back that,
Yeah, hi, Tish Hoyt, and I'm one of the co-owners of Boomerang as well. And I do take in estate jewelry, and just so you're talking about, so that would affect Boomerang.
Estate jewelry will not. If you're getting it from an estate sale or estate auction, that's already vetted through an attorney. It does not apply.
No, not necessarily, not necessarily. We could go into someone's home and they would say that they want to sell this stuff. They have not gone to an attorney yet, and then they're just buying it as a clump of jewelry, offering some money for it, something like that. So you don't know exactly where they got that jewelry from. It could be theirs, it might not be theirs. Also down at the bottom where you have violations and penalties, this is absurd. It says any violation of this chapter shall be punishable by a fine not exceeding $100 per day. All right, so we have co-owners at Boomerang, there's about 16 or 17 of us. That means that someone else, maybe by mistake, didn't take a picture of this, that, or the other thing, then therefore we could be fined $100 per day for that. That
Put us
seems,
out of business.
that's ridiculous. And like some of the other people were saying, I really think that we should definitely table this, and I'm sure that this is just a small part of the community that has this type of business, that some owners aren't even here that have this type of business, and they would be, affected by it as well. And I think it's important that more people are aware of it, and that maybe, like the young man was saying earlier, that we all come together and kind of work through something that could work in the benefit of the police and the business owners.
Mr. Wilson, before you, are there any other comments from any, yes?
I just had a question. Kathy Landrock, I'm also part of Boomerang. I just wonder if you have any idea how many businesses would be affected throughout Plymouth?
That's a good question, and I address this with the board. That's the whole reason for the application to begin with, because I don't even know who in our town is selling stuff like that under that capacity. I have no knowledge to who's.
Just walk down Main Street.
It's not that. It's not that easy though. It's not, because it's not just Main Street. Somebody could be doing something out of their home or something like that, and to which we have no knowledge of.
Right, but they're not gonna tell you.
I mean,
I'm concerned that what this is going to do is it's gonna push the online market even more. Like, I'm gonna buy it, pop it up on Plymouth Townwide Yard Sale Facebook page and sell it, and avoid the merchants who are probably the most legal way of doing business, because we're all paying taxes, we are documenting who, for the most part, we're getting information of who we're purchasing something from. I think you're gonna push sales more to online and away from brick and mortar stores that are the heart of the Plymouth community. This is a very strong Main Street community. I can tell you right now, there's over easily 10 to 12 businesses up and down Main Street. You have Plymouth Ski and Sports with used ski equipment. I mean, I just strongly feel that this can be rewritten. You can get the support of your local merchants to work with you to make this doable and feasible for us while protecting our community. But this is the way it is written now, it will not work. And we can't follow it. You'll be setting us up for failure.
Absolutely.
And then you'll be forced to be fining me every day. And I don't think that's what you want to do either.
That is not what I want to do. That's not my goal. I don't want to find any of you.
Right, and you don't have the time for that. You're not going to want to manage all of this. I mean, this is a lot. So I think if we could, even form a small committee to work on this, I would be definitely willing to help out, that we come up with something that's reasonable, that meets the needs and the safety of our community, and is keeping in mind our very valuable Main Street businesses. We have an amazing Plymouth downtown community. We have a lot of resale shops. It's kind of what makes our community tick, and I think that we can come to a good compromise. So.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Bolson. I see you.
Just the one thing I ask is, I know that there's also, by law you have to conduct in a certain way, but is there, where people keep mentioning that word tabling this, is there a procedure where you can say, we're going to just study it? I don't know, where does that point come? After the 2 hearings, or maybe not at all? How would you go about
this is the first of 2 public hearings, so,
But do we have to bless it by saying, will you consider tabling this now and doing
that might be the outcome. But, this is a formal process to hear from those affected people that, would want some input on this. And
because if nothing else, you can gather, as a community, the merchants are not happy with what's presented right now. And we have had no feedback in the decision that greatly affects all our lives. So I don't see how you can say it wouldn't be fair to give it the study that it deserves. Plymouth is not Manchester, it's not Nashua, and we don't have those same problems.
Tilton, Bristol.
To address it in a well, I'm just saying, it shouldn't be, it's not a generic thing. And I think right now that's how it's being treated.
okay. And the other, go ahead, sir.
All right, so I didn't understand the purpose of this meeting. I thought we're all just coming here to say what's going on. I actually went through the whole ordinance. Okay, so Part C, licensing authority. Contains a suitability clause to the sole discretion of the Board of Selectmen on who can conduct these types of businesses. Part D, license required, application requirements. Part A, 2 persons of good character I need to present to you on my application to be references. And I have to find 1 person that knows where I am, who can find me at any given point in time. Part B, expense of the criminal background check that I have to pay for, that I have to shoulder that. And for everybody else that's involved in my business, and renewal for every year. Okay. Part C, chief of police, who shall start the investigation, decides what the fitness of the applicant is. What's the purpose? What's the meaning of that? What do you mean by fitness? My employees, after I hire an employee, I have 24 hours to tell the chief of police, according to this, and he has to report the findings of his investigation to you. Part D, approval or denial, at the discretion by a majority vote of the Board of Selectmen. If you've ever been convicted, now I have not, this is one of the things I never got convicted of stolen property, okay? I had a lively young childhood here. But if you've ever had convicted of stolen property offense, it says right here that you can't conduct business. Part E, requirement to inform, like I said, inform police within 24 hours of your new hire. Transaction records. Keep and maintain complete records of transactions for 7 years. Check ID of the seller. Can't do business with somebody under 16. What if a kid wants to come in and buy a video game? If I happen to sell used video games, I can't sell him anything. I can't do business with him. He can't hand me $5 for a video game. I have to photograph the items. I have to state how exactly. It states exactly how we have to do this, and there are people here who don't use computers, and this would cause a burden on them. need to keep a complex security system in place and recordings held for 30 days. Part G, holding period for purchases, 30 days for all purchases. Can't repair or otherwise do anything to the item for 30 days. It just sits in storage. States the police can request that you hand over an item if there's an active investigation. I'm sure there's New Hampshire laws in place for that. States that the police will ask restitution to be paid. If I happen to buy something, I've lost money, I'll never see that money again. I know what restitution is because I had a house robbed here years ago. I'll never see the money of the items that the man stole. Reports of transactions. Shall electronically file documentation of transaction to the police within 24 hours. Okay, what if I had a busy day and I had to come to a selectmen's meeting? I gotta go home and go and do this now? I can't play with come on, my children, my life. Even if we don't sell anything all week, I still have to make a report to the police according to H Part A. And the biggest thing that I have, one of the big things that I have a problem with is the inspection of premises. Licensed premises and all records of transactions and property may be inspected at any time. I'm not doing that. That's a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment of the United States of America, of our Constitution, to just say that they can come in and review my premises and my items. I'm not doing that. So if you want a specific list, I went through briefly through the ordinance of just my concerns, and I voiced what everybody else is saying. I request you guys to table this. I want a commission to further study it, which includes business owners here in Plymouth, so we can work together on this. I want to work with the chief so they know that you can't come to Plymouth and just hawk things. I agree with you guys, but we need to work together on this, and that's why I want it tabled and I want further study.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
I second that motion.
Any other comments?
I have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Brian.
It appears that this, it's a surprise to the community. I know that the chief has put a lot of work into it at this point. It sounds to me, just from the input here, that even with the second prescribed hearing, we won't come out of this with something, so maybe we should take the opportunity to restudy it at this point and then restart the process again in the future.
I agree with that.
Thank you, Mr. Murphy. Okay. Any other comments?
I just have one. I'm Tom Ford, my wife works at Boomerang. Would you consider using this for someone who gets caught selling stolen goods?
Would I consider using
No,
this?
if you have a business out there that is, selling stolen goods, say they get caught 3 times. 3 times you're out, throw this out. And make them do it one by one. Because right now, you get a lot of innocent people in this room.
Well, what if, let's say Mr. Dorr inadvertently sells, he doesn't know it's stolen. And he
Well, you need
sells
to
it.
have that
Now I'm not
conversation.
going to whack him for that.
No,
I don't
you
wanna
need
do
to have
that
a-
to
No,
him.
but if I do it 3 times, I think we're gonna have a conversation.
Absolutely. And that's what the licensing process is for. They could revoke that license anytime. It could be like, I went to X, Y, and Z business, and he's sold 3 stolen things now. You need to revoke his license.
He's just suggesting just the opposite, that, if he was a bad apple, then you would license him. Then he has to require to go through the license procedure. But that's a suggestion. Any other comments?
One more, sir.
Oh.
When it comes to granting of a license, if there is a license, which is, I think that there should be language in there that if the applicant meets all of the requirements, then he shall be granted a license. And that way it takes all discretion off the table. If you meet the criteria, you get the license, period.
So you're waiving the $50 fee?
No. But there, it was brought up that it was written that it was at the board's discretion and the chief's discretion.
Okay, gotcha.
So the chief's discretion stops at vetting the paperwork and making sure that everything is fine. At that point, it would be a shall thing, like the granting for concealed carry permits. Where You meet the criteria, you get it. It's just that simple.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Murphy. Any other comments? Oh, man, okay. We got one behind each
Just had
other.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I just had a quick question. One of the things I was really concerned about the first time I read this was the fact that this information wasn't brought to me by anybody in this room, okay? Somebody that does business with me brought this to my attention. It was on the website. Nobody notified me. And I've talked to numerous people in this room before today that said that somebody had to show them that. So nobody, all these businesses you're concerned about, and I can understand why, we're not notified. So reality is, if a few of us didn't have some good friends that found this on the website, you could have had an empty room with all the people who've been talking here. And I don't understand why we weren't notified.
And there is an email list that you have, because you email us when,
So
you know.
that really got my attention, why. you know.
I will take ownership to that. I apologize. I could have done
That's
a better
huge,
job of that.
though.
Absolutely. I totally agree with everybody. I apologize for that.
Okay, and, thank you. And Joe, you have the last comment.
So what I'm seeing is if you're gonna table this and then go back to the drawing board, I see where there might be a need to have like everybody has their own life, like a website where everybody can go to and put their comments and you can review them, because two of these meetings isn't gonna cut it. So I was thinking if there was a site where people can go in and make their comments and
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to skin that cat, though. You know, you can have like a Google Drive with specific to business owners that would, but computer debtness or whatever. But
Then you've got to have everybody familiar with using the computer.
Right.
So-
So a face-to-face committee would be.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yep.
Totally agreed. I would like with Mr. Doerr's format, if you're like, hey, this section this section that, and we can look at it piece by piece. That's why I asked if you could email that.
Absolutely.
So.
Okay, very good. I think we're on the right track. So I call this hearing closed. It's 7:10, and we're bringing it back to the board.
I would probably remind the people at the meeting to probably stick around, because there might be some more discussion. We're going to discuss this more amongst the board, and there might be some input that we want to relay to you. So I wouldn't just take off at this point.
It might be pretty quick, but yeah. All right.
I'm not holding everybody here.
Any discussion from the board?
I have.
Yep.
So I was, I wrote down some notes that everybody said. I had probably pretty naive about the process of this. I've sat on the other side where you guys are now, that I would have been very much affected by something the town was doing, and so I completely get what you're saying. And I also, and I don't speak for everybody, but I think I probably do, that there's not one of us here that would like to see a business not be on Main Street or in Plymouth a year from now. We want everybody to be successful. And I think for a small part, in defense of what the chief is trying to do, he's on the front lines of the opioid battle that is going on that we don't see very little. And I'm sure that probably you are on some sort of front line, and I'm thinking could use your help. And if there is a group of you that we could put together, I would love, Mr. Chairman, to see a group of a few of you and the chief to hopefully work something out that would be acceptable to you, maybe some grandfathering, something that people aren't going to just come to Plymouth, steal and hawk it within the businesses in Plymouth. So that's my feeling. And I'm sure we can work something out.
Yes, excuse me.
At this point, I've heard everything they've had to say, and if you guys want to table it and sit down and speak about it, let's do it.
So
That's all we ask.
All right, so I appreciate that comment. Anything from the board regarding that comment, or?
All the businesses.
Anybody who
Motion
wants,
to the
yeah.
table,
How are we
that's what
gonna
I'm trying to get at.
Well, I will send out my email list. Also, if you guys have contacts that I don't, either forward them to me, or we'll just get it out there as much as we can. Just tell people, I want everybody's input. Like I said, I'm not here to harm any businesses. That is not my goal, and I hope everybody realizes that. So at this point, I've heard everybody, let's table it, and then we'll talk about it some more, and we'll get it done that way as a community. I'm okay with that.
So you're gonna send emails to the businesses?
Yes.
But you said you didn't know who all the businesses.
I have a list, and
Yeah.
I think it's pretty complete with everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not on it.
You're not on it?
No, I've never got an email from you.
I got your card, you are now.
Because we knocked you off.
No, but it's just a point, though. There are people that,
Yeah.
and this gentleman doesn't use email.
Yeah.
You know, there are people that aren't, you know,
Yeah.
we gotta walk around.
Well,
I
then
mean,
what
this is a
I'm going to do
process.
is email everybody I know, put it
Yeah.
on our Facebook page, have the town put it on their page, and then please, by word of mouth, if you know of
Right.
businesses that I haven't reached, I don't want to exclude anybody. If somebody wants to have a voice in it, I want to hear them.
Do you have to put anything in the newspaper? Because I looked, Plymouth doesn't put any
No.
local news in there.
No, it's all, because it's all done by social media now. That's pretty much how we try and hit everything.
I actually
Unfortunately.
put this meeting, to interject that, I spent $30 to do a boost post on Facebook.
Okay.
Because I didn't find out until Paul Wolfson came down and told me on Thursday.
That's how we
And-
found out.
That's how we found out.
And again, I apologize, I could have done, I will own that myself. I could have done a much better job at that.
But we can
Absolutely.
definitely, and I think I speak for a lot of business owners, I don't speak for everybody, obviously, because I haven't talked to a lot of people here, but yeah, let's get together and talk. That's what we want. This affects us.
Do you want to pick a committee now? How many people?
Well, I don't want to
No.
limit it. At least the first meeting, I want to hear everybody. Then at
We
a
don't know who
meeting
we're
after
missing.
that, if we want to condense it down, that there are a few key components that are involved here that you guys,
Broadcasted.
then we can hash it out that way. We'll get everybody's idea, get it on paper, then work it out from there. That sound fair to everybody?
I'm in. Thanks,
I
Chief.
think,
Welcome.
so Steve, you have all these names, and you'll be getting the additional names that are not here?
Yes.
Because, I'm sure there's like several businesses that aren't here that probably should be represented as well.
And my thought is to at least pick a meeting date a little bit farther out. And at the next select board meeting, we can make an announcement then on the meeting date, just so everybody's got enough time. You know, if they have plans, they can either rearrange their plans or get everybody notified that we're having a meeting. So let's do it I'll try and pick a couple dates, see what works for everybody and go from there.
So-
Does this time seem to work for everybody? A little bit later in the evening?
Everything's
maybe?
terrible.
Yeah,
Whatever.
I hear you.
You might want a bigger venue.
And that's okay, we can pick one, maybe we can do like the
Can we-
the meeting room at the library or something on the university, I
Can we
don't know.
table
Senior
it?
center.
So that's, we need to have like an action of the board to,
So, seeing that the audience was so receptive to working with the police chief on working out some sort of alternative or compromise, I make a motion that we table this discussion till a further date.
I'll second that.
Discussion or ordinance?
well, the discussion on the ordinance,
It's not gonna go forward.
So we're not gonna bring it forward, we're gonna discuss it.
Correct.
yeah, we're gonna thrash out the
I'm
differences.
kinda new, I apologize for my.
There won't be a second hearing.
Well, that's the second part of that is to also, negate that second date for a second hearing.
On the 24th, it's. not gonna
Yeah.
happen. Okay, thank you for educating me.
So I guess we got two parts of that motion. So you second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Are you saying aye, or?
No, I am not. Just have another question. I would respectfully ask that one board member be at that meeting as well.
Yeah, maybe even two, if you have a little subcommittee,
That's fine too.
We'll pick
I don't
one.
mind.
that would be good.
We'll pick it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being receptive to our concerns. Thank you, Chief.
I need it for anything else?
Now I know why John ran late.
Son of a gun. I wish I had the flu.
You don't need me for anything else, right? Okay.
Okay, we still have some business to do. Which committee reports? Any committee reports?
I have nothing.
There's a Parks and Rec Commission meeting coming up, Wednesday, 6:30.
Speaking of which, I sent an email off to,
Larry, I saw you
Yeah.
CC'd me.
okay, wasn't I smart?
Very smart.
So to get the action plan of what you're going to be going forward with, the planning board, would like to see that, just to put it in the master plan, so,
Okay, their action plan.
yeah.
Okay.
anyway,
Okay.
thank you. Anything else, or?
Not yet. I wanted to make one, there is the Chamber Annual Golf Tournament is coming up May 24th, 2017 at Owl's Nest. I did attend a kickoff event for the Chamber, which was it was a jump board event. It was held March 28th. It was at the Common Man at Foster's. It was extremely well attended. There were a lot of past members of the chamber from all the different chambers before we merged. There was a lot of enthusiasm for the chamber. Frank Cucciarella is doing an excellent job of leading our chamber. Just an excellent function, very well attended.
Frank is still the lead, right? The chair, or whatever. There was that woman that was at the,
He's the executive director.
Oh, okay.
Which is a part-time position.
Okay. And is that it? Or I've got actually several. I went to the PERLAC meeting, Pemigewasset River Local Advisory Committee, and there was major discussion on the Northern Pass testimony that they offered. And also one of the projects that is brought to our attention is the walkway by the Old Man Viewing area. And, you know, that's been actually advertised on Channel 9, maybe a little bit premature because, you know, we haven't kind of weighed in on that. Even though they have the funding, their intent is to put like granite blocks along Profile Lake and go from the viewing area around to the boat landing on the other end of the lake. And you know, they've gotten pretty much most of the approvals that they need to do, but PERLAC is looking at it right now. Also went to the Energy Commission, and we have a new Google Drive. Keep all of our archived documents and working documents as well. We also have a new email address, PlymouthEnergy@gmail.com. And we've got 2 interested parties for the power purchase agreement that, you know, we're likely to go forward with as far as a solar array, hopefully to be located at the recycling center. And ultimately, we're targeting a 100 kilowatt AC array and maybe like a 3-acre site out there. And we're targeting a meeting late April to invite both parties to the Energy Commission to, you know, discuss their answers to PPAs, our power purchase agreements. And just a comment about the new chair, we have Kitty Bush, who's our new chair of that commission, and she's just doing a great job. Also into the planning board, we elected officers. Stephen Rhodes is the past and present chair. Unfortunately announced that he may be leaving Plymouth in August. He might be relocating himself to Maine. So anyway, he's going to continue as chair until that happens. And then we also looked at the metrics that Tara Bamford of North Country Council has been doing, putting them into the master plan. And we also invited Energy Commission reps to the committee to make it known what their intent is with their projects so that we can incorporate that into the master plan as well. And that's pretty much it from me. Any public comments?
Yes, I have a comment. I was gonna suggest it last meeting and it slipped my mind, but on the bulletin board downstairs, I would like to see a Plymouth Energy Commission meeting, previous agenda, what they discussed, when they have their meetings, and the same thing with the Conservation Commission. We have all of our departments, you know, planning board, zoning board, town highway, a lot of those things. There's sufficient space, it's not probably used right, but I believe it's worth having those 2 commissions, their last agenda, what their discussion, or when they meet, where they meet. You know, it seems to be I've been trying to connect up to those meetings and I always seem to miss them. And they just seem to be missing from public viewing, that people walking in and want to catch hold of something without being online.
That's a good point you raised, because I know you were interested, at least in I know the Energy Commission interested. And we started actually targeting a specific day of the month, which was like the third Wednesday, I think. And also Katie was going to work with Dawn, I believe one of our town's workers that was going to post it. And I'm not certain if that's happened or not, but.
About the Conservation Commission, because there's the projects that I was interested with that one, but trying to figure out where, when, and I usually inform myself of what meetings are held and try to attend. So if they could be on the bulletin board there with the rest of our programs, I think it'd be helpful.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Any other comments? In that case,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Nope.
Nope.
I'll entertain a motion for non-public.
Make a motion to go into non-public.
Is there a second?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are now in non-public.